Loud and clear. Thank you, thank you very much, Honorable Kabando. Um, Dr. Kivutha Kibwana, would you kindly go ahead?
Yes, and I want also to thank Kabando. We come a long ways. I was dean of the Faculty of Law when he was the student leader, and they put him into a lot of problems then. And so I'm happy to share this space with him and for the words that he has said. And I think he mentioned the name of John Githongo in terms of anti-corruption measures. John Githongo is one of the experts in the country. He has a long history of working with the Transparency International, and that's somebody whom the Gen Zs can rely on to get information about anti-corruption strategies. Let me also repeat something that Jamal, I think, said. He gave us a history of how, this problem that we have today is long drawn from colonial times. And even when today we talk about ethnic parties, ethnic-based parties, this is something that was planted during colonialism, because up to 1960, they only allowed district political parties. The KANU was the first national party when now they had decided they were going to give Kenya flag independence. So I think that's a very important point to underscore, to say that it is really issues that are about most facets of our society, which have roots from the colonial times coming into independence. And therefore, it's really what is being sought is like an overhaul of the system, and that is why it is not normally easy to do that kind of thing. And that is why it's a question of asking, what is the best system? Yes, there is the constitution, but you see, the constitution to be given life requires, why would you have parastatals and those statutory bodies and so on? What do they do? Do they take money which they shouldn't be taking? And so you look at the entire system so that you can say that this system must be overhauled, must be revamped, so that it is citizen sympathetic or citizen friendly. And that is why it is always difficult, because there are people who will resist a system that has been giving them economic advantage, from the international level, from the national level, from even now local levels in the counties and so on. So I think that is what Gen Zs must know they are up against. So it's not just a quick fix. It is something that requires a lot of changes, and with time, changes in the culture of how we do our things. And that is why whatever you plan, you must have staying power. Because if you think it will happen in 1 year, you think that you'll get all these changes in 2 years. I think it's getting the structures that you will have, so that this is a continuous thing. Even if you were to get new people that you think are good, there must be eternal vigilance, because people get influenced by all sorts of forces, and then you say they have sold out. I liked also the point which was made about enmity. Gen Z are not trying to be enemies with anybody, or looking for enemies or doing whatever. They just, I think, from how I view them, they want better. They want things that work for them. In actual fact, if government, all this time that people have been talking about a youth Marshall Plan, like how do you create a youth Marshall Plan where the people are 15 to 35, and of course also those who are in schools below, they feel that they have citizenship in Kenya. They are provided for. And there are ways like the Ministry of Youth and so on, sports and stuff. They could have been thinking about a youth Marshall Plan where every ministry is told, how are you interacting with young people? What are you doing with young people? You know, even having like say, can youth make is there like a youth bank? This ASLA fund, could it have been a fund, properly managed, where people get, but not 500 shillings. 500 shillings, what business will you start with? All that kind of stuff. Because after the phone, where everybody has a phone and they do many things through the phone, the handset. Then after the border where many youth also got involved. One of the things that could have happened is accessible credit to young people so that they can be in their businesses, they can be in the social enterprises and all that, so that there are things that really make youth know that they belong to Kenya. Kenya is their country. But one thing that really makes me, happy, somebody who taught in the university for a long time, worked with young people in civil society and so on in the county. What Gen Zs have done with the support of millenniums and some volunteers, Kenya will never be the same again. Even those who are thinking of coming into power later and stuff, they know that what has begun to happen and this awakening will not allow them to do politics as usual. And that is something to take our hats off for, Gen Zs. And I think as their movement is growing, they're also growing so that they can do what is necessary to protect the movement from fizzling out, from being sabotaged, and from deception and all that kind of stuff. And so I really, Sonko, I really applaud you. Try to get, you guys who are in these spaces, the ones who are positive and are pro Gen Z for real, try to see what kind of conversation you can have so that you streamline, the agendas and some of how you are approaching this struggle. If this Gen Z movement fails, then Kenya will fail. And I can repeat that. If this Gen Z movement fails, then Kenya will fail. And maybe finally, to just come back to this dialogue thing, I wish, because, I respect Baba. I know that because we have worked a lot together, especially in those early days of the Section 2A and the Constitution. But I wish he can actually talk to the Gen Zs and ask them, what do they really want? Instead of saying that they have agreed on a dialogue without having talked to the person who is aggrieved, the person who has raised all these issues. I wish he can take a step back and talk to the Gen Zs so that he can understand where they are coming from, who they are, what they now want. Because there was a time he had said he's rested because they have taken over. So now it is like he wants to come back, but come back without again talking to the Gen Zs and asking them where we are, how should we go forward. And of course, I think it will be a question of respect to these young people who have taken the baton of the relay in terms of assisting to change our country. And of course, one expects and one hopes that the president will appreciate that the Gen Zs are operating truly to change the country, and when they ask for certain things, it is because they want the change, and they are not trying to say that they are not trying to undermine anybody, but simply to say what we want is what we think will assist to change our country, and we need to be listened to, and the things that are promised in the interim, they need to be done, and let us be acknowledged as a new force in the Kenyan scenario, and to actually be, instead of going to talk to the opposition, because it's the GenZs who have raised these issues, I think it is important to realize that what they are saying is what is on the table, but not what the opposition will put on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Asante sana, Professor. Is Eric still here? Eric, if you could kindly make your submissions. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I still am, although I feel a little bit inadequate speaking after Professor Kibwana and Kabando. But one, I think I want to agree with them, and I echo their sentiments that what has happened in this country.
I think, sorry, before Eric speaks, Kenyan lady, there's a question I had asked Professor, and it's like he never answered about this. I've shared the roadmap to full constitutional IEBC, and as you can see around in 4 or 5 clauses, the president is like he's the one who will decide who will be our chairman for IEBC and for most of the need that will be there, the commissioners. So, Prof, please, on that issue, why was it so necessary that on the new constitution that the president had to decide so much on who will be the chairman of IEBC and also the commissioners? Because now this brings the point which we've been talking about the issue of conflict of interest.
And I think that, again, with the permission of the host, this is the point that I made earlier, that under normal circumstances, even the panel itself should not have been chosen by a majority of the political class, which is 5. And if they influence the religious sector, because those are now 2 also, that's 7. So that only the Law Society and this PAC may have a different view. But the law has passed now, and I think I tried to say that what we need to do, what GenZ needs to do, is to focus on, because it's a competitive process of even appointing this panel, to see that there is targeting to be sure that people who have a blemish, so to speak, are called out, and they cannot. So there will have to be a lot of scrutiny on